Millions of young adults are leaving the modern church every year. Yet when sociologists interview these individuals, they find something surprising. These young people are not necessarily walking away from Jesus. Researchers identify this growing demographic as the nomads or the de-churched. They maintain a deep personal affection for God, but they feel disconnected from the religious institutions they grew up in. This animated bar chart shows us exactly why. When the Barna Group asked adults what drives their spiritual doubt, roughly 1 in 4 pointed directly to past experiences with a religious institution, citing the hypocrisy of its people as the primary cause. While there are many reasons for this drift, this 1 in 4 figure points to a specific failure. For millions of people, the institution has stopped feeling like a home. We often call this church hurt, a specific type of emotional and psychological trauma inflicted by rigid dogma and unhealthy religious leadership. To understand exactly how this process happens, you have to look at how the modern church has shifted its identity. It has slowly morphed from a healing sanctuary into a defensive fortress. Inside a fortress, the priority is protecting insiders from the perceived threats of modern culture. This requires strict exclusivity, a suspicion of scientific consensus, and a highly overprotective environment. Thick stone walls are excellent for surviving a siege, but they make it impossible to create a welcoming, nurturing home for people who are already wounded. When researchers measured the attitudes of self-identified Christians, they found 51% aligned with self-righteous Pharisees, compared to just 14% who mirrored Jesus. Looking closer, behavioral control overshadows relational connection. The culture prioritizes policing behavior instead of demonstrating grace. Because leadership focuses on enforcing rules rather than engaging with difficult cultural questions, young people are left with a severe discipleship deficit. Without a robust biblical foundation, they turn to syncretism, cobbling together a customized, conflicting set of beliefs drawn from various secular and religious cultures. A fragile worldview built entirely on behavioral control simply shatters upon contact with the complexities of the real world. The tragedy compounds when individuals who have survived deep trauma seek help inside these rigid walls. This tragic cycle is known as the second wound. When a survivor approaches the institution for help, the leadership often demands immediate healing, forces premature reconciliation, or prioritizes the church's public image over the victim's pain. This impatient, defensive response sends a devastating message. The survivor's emotional pain is an inconvenience to the leadership. Prioritizing the image of the institution over the pain of the individual effectively severs the survivor's ability to find God within that specific community. Reversing this mass exodus requires tearing down the fortress walls and replacing them with sanctuary theology. The first practical step is abandoning the performance-based model of sin management. Leaders must model moral vulnerability and invest in genuine relational discipleship. Instead of treating evangelism as a transactional sales pitch, members must offer authentic friendships without any hidden agendas or strings attached. Congregations must establish strict trauma-informed care protocols and create intellectual safety, treating honest doubts and cultural inquiries with deep patience rather than panic. True sanctuary theology replaces a fear of the outside world with the quiet confidence of love. It builds an environment where the human spirit is free to heal, explore, and flourish. The connected generation is anxious, but they are also deeply motivated to engage with culture and fight systemic injustice. Pastor Rick Warren diagnosed the institutional failure perfectly. The modern church has amputated its hands and feet, reducing its public presence to nothing more than a big mouth. To repair their damaged reputation, congregations must stop being known solely for what they oppose. They must mobilize their resources and be recognized for what they actively support, serving the marginalized in their own neighborhoods. A new marketing strategy or a better youth program might change the appearance of a church, but these superficial fixes cannot reach the deep pain caused by institutional hurt. Making the church a true home requires the courage to dismantle defensive walls, sit patiently with the wounded, and rebuild a community anchored entirely in active love.